Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 5 of our ConfigMas 2023. My name is Johan, and in this video I will show you how you can increase the ConfigMgr Client Cache Size beyond its 97.6 GB limit or 99,999 MB limit. And this is when using client settings to do this in ConfigMgr. Luckily, we have WMI to the rescue as well. I will also show you a little bit behind the scenes and how you can verify and troubleshoot that policies are coming down to devices. So that means demo time. So what I have here is a few different client settings configured. From the name you can probably realize what it's doing, but this client setting here, if I go to properties, check the client cache settings, they are set indeed to be configured and to be set to 64 GB in size. And so well are the others here. This one is set to 96 and this is to 128. Currently, I have this one deployed to a collection, also named 64 gig cache. If I go to that collection, you can see that the device ending on number 22 is a member of it. In ConfigMgr, you can always double check the settings a machine is supposed to have by right-clicking the device, go to Client Settings, and do Resultant Client Settings. Because it could very well be that you have multiple conflicting sections or settings in ConfigMgr, but this is where you can see the resulting ones. And as you see here, this one indeed is also set to 64 gig. So this is what the client should have. If I go over to that client, I have it right here, I can either open up the control panel applet from ConfigMgr. I can go to cache and I can see what settings I have at the moment, and it's set to 64 gigs. I can ask good old WMI through WMI Explorer. Connect to it. Policy, machine policy, and actual config. And I know it's in the super peer setting. So I'll go here, click here, and sure enough, the cache size is set to this. I can also ask PowerShell, since it's WMI, for the exact same information. And it will tell me that I have 65 gig here. Or I can ask the COM object for the resource manager or UI resource manager, and it will give me the same information there. So if I run this and look at this value, just a few different ways where you can see these settings. But let me go ahead and assign a different setting to this device. So I will go back to my console, and I will start by going to that collection. And I'll remove the machine from it. Then I'll go to my other collection, the one with 96 in this case, having a 96 gig policy deployed to it, and I will add that machine to it. And I just need to wait until that machine shows up in that collection. Should be removed from this one. Should be down to 0, and this one here should go up to 4, which it just did here. So now I have the 22 computer as part of this one. Now, if I go to the client again, I can force a machine policy update. If I don't want to wait an hour, I have it set to an hour in my environment. So I just force a machine policy update, and that means that the client will look for updated policies, download them, evaluate them, and I will be able to see some of that in the log files on the client side. So if I go here and open up the policy agent provider, for example, and keep an eye on that one, you can see here that right about now, there was an instance modification event to that specific class that I showed you earlier. So I can see that it did something right about now on this device. Now I can also open up the log file that is responsible for the cache itself, the cache log file. And if I look in this one, let's see what we have. Here was an event 339, so just shortly after the policy was evaluated there. But you can see that down here, it says that the new cache size is 96,000, and the old cache size was the 64 gig setting. So this is how you can compare and verify that it did receive the settings that it was supposed to have. And of course, if I do the same exercise here, ask for the cache size, it will be 96,000. And if I ask disk object, it will be also 96,000. Now, what if I would go and change it to something different? So if I go back to my client settings, just to show you, this one is indeed configured for 128 gigs, and that's this value in megabyte. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. I'm going to remove the device from this collection. And I'm going to add it to the 128 gig collection. I'm just going to wait until the machine is actually in the collection, otherwise I can't do much on the client side. Server needs to be ready first. And this one here should go back to 3 again. So now, if I go to that device, just to double check. Check the client settings. The cache size is supposed to be this. So let's go to the client and find out, shall we? Once again, force a machine policy. And I can open up the policy evaluator again. Start policy agent provider again. This was the last one, 338. This is now 342. I got another setting coming down right now. And if I open up the cache log again, it wasn't exactly happy about that size. It's outside the limit. So you cannot use client settings to configure the cache size above this. But what you can do is you can use WMI to do it. So a friend of mine, Mike Coster, sent me this tip a little while ago. But long story short, on this blog here, I have a script that you can run. That in this case is setting it to 128, but sure enough, if you want to have the same number, just to prove a point here, 128 times 10 to the 4. Here we are. I'm setting that value, and I'm restarting the client because you have to do that when setting it through WMI. Give the client some time to restart. Then I can go ahead and check the cache size. So now we have that larger cache size configured. If I check my client settings here, sure enough, it shows the same. That's all for today. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope to see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.